Hi again. I am Fathom, and I am the founder of Other Fiber Creations, and this is me. As a 26-year-old running a crochet business full-time, I start a lot of projects that I struggle to finish due to time constraints, due to lack of passion, and sometimes I just forget the project exists. These projects get set aside and end up in my dreaded WIP pile. For those who don't know what that is, WIP, W-I-P, stands for Work in Progress. I've decided that I am tired of having an endlessly growing pile of unfinished projects, so together, you and I are going to go and tackle it one project at a time. Welcome to WIP'd Into Shape. Today's project is this partially finished fable cowl by Of Mars. I've made this design multiple times and love this pattern a lot, so I'm not surprised that I found one of these in my WIP pile. The yarn I'm using for it is Premier Everyday Worsted Painterly in the color Fireside, and I only know that because I packed the cowl with the additional skeins of yarn I planned to use to finish it when I put it in the WIP pile originally. The first step for me was to sit on my computer, look up the pattern, and figure out where I had left off on this project. Let me send you to Pattern Analysis Fathom from the past to see where we are and how much there is left to do. So, I am looking at the cowl to figure out where I left off, and I'm pretty sure I know where. This design is made by making a triangle piece that works up kind of like a shawl to make this long section here. When you finish the triangle section, you slip stitch it together and then work in the round to make the neck. So I have clearly finished the triangle section. That removes the entire first, I believe, 12 pages of the pattern. Yeah, the first 12 pages of the pattern. I am not there. I then look closely at the actual rounds I've done. Looking closely at it, I've clearly done the first round of single crochet, so it's not round 1. It's not round 2 or 3. It seems to be round 4. To make sure I'm correct, I then go and look to see if the stitches I started on round 4, which past me does this constantly. I will do the first 10 stitches of a round to help me see, this is the stitch you're doing. If what you're looking at does not say to keep doing this stitch, you're wrong. This is back post double crochet, and sure enough, round 4 on here says I should be doing back post double crochet. So I am on row 4 of the cowl section. In total, there are 35 rounds to the cowl section. So I have 31 more rows to do. Should be able to do that pretty easily. And I have, wherever it just went, there it is, the 6mm hook that I know for a fact I use when making these because my tension is tighter than theirs is. So there we go. Let me get back to it. Back to voiceover Fathom. Ooh. With that out of the way, I was finally on to day 1 of finishing the cowl. My basic strategy was to work up a row and then stop and do a bit of housework or behind the scenes work for my business, since I was set to leave for a LARP in a few days' time from when I pulled the project back out. This meant that my cowl progress itself would be limited, but it would leave plenty of time in the coming days for me to lock in on it, since I would have the more tedious housework already handled for the week. I decided to wrap up for the day mid-row since I reached the end of the first skein of yarn for this video. I phrase it that way since it's actually the second skein of yarn total for the project, but you guys have only seen me working from the second skein, meaning it's the first one you're seeing. This stopping point meant that I had finished 5.5 rows, which meant that, come day 2, I would only have 26.5 rows left to complete. Considering I've completed this entire pattern in one night before, I had no worries about finishing this work in progress on day 2. The next morning, I attached a new skein of yarn to my project and got straight into working on the cowl again. My game plan for day 2 was to finish a row, then do some video editing on the video you all saw last week since I was behind schedule. By going back and forth between the two tasks, my hope was to be able to finish both things by the end of my workday. The first few hours of my day went pretty uneventfully. work on project, edit a bit, work on project, edit a bit, and so on. After a few hours of that, I reached the end of my video editing and locked in fully on knocking out the cowl. The rows worked up really fast from this point, to the point that I managed to finish the full skein of yarn that I had started that morning by 1 p.m. I was in the middle of row 28 of 35 when I attached the final skein of yarn on, so I was feeling pretty good. I decided to take a break though and made some cookie dough for the upcoming LARP that I was going to, before finishing off the final 7 rows all in one sitting. Only to discover that, at some point in my process, something seemed to have gone wrong. So, I was getting ready to film.
It's definitely the problem.
Like,
So
the
something
ending clip
happened
of this where I
right
show you
here,
guys the finished
it
piece.
is suddenly
when I
much
noticed
tighter
something
from the rest
weird.
of this, to the point where I can't even get it over my glasses.
The rest of it easily fits over, but I don't know how I lost that many stitches. Like, there's no physical way. But somehow I did it. Let me try without glasses.
Yeah, even without glasses, I can't get it over my face.
I'm gonna have to frog and figure out what I messed up. That might fix it, honestly. Let me try it again. I'm not sure exactly where it is. Off the bat, I did a slip stitch border that it did not call for because it looked on. With that issue sorted out, I could finally show you the finished piece.
The answer was the border.
One thing about cowls is that I love the look of them.
Because it feels a lot better now.
So I'm gonna cut
not
to
on
final
me
shot
for some reason.
after I finish weaving in this
this
end,
one
'cause
turned
that
out
seems to have fixed
fantastically
it with the yarn that I picked out and the variety of spun stitches. But I always find that when I look at myself in a cowl, I just wish that it was me in a crochet poncho instead. I don't know why. I just have always preferred the look of a poncho versus a cowl, despite loving turtlenecks over low-cut shirts. That being said, I still can acknowledge how much I love the end result of this cowl and look forward to seeing it find a new home someday, hopefully soon. And with that, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If you're going to do one of those 3 things, make it subscribing so you can see all the other fun things I make around here. Today's question of the day is, what is your favorite food? For me, it's potatoes, in basically any form they take. I love mashed potatoes and tater tots and french fries and baked potatoes and potato skins. I could keep going, but I'm not going to make you hungry. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite food is. If you want to support me, you can do the things I suggested, such as like, comment, subscribe. If you want to find my patterns, you can find them on my Ribbler and my Etsy. You can also find them on my website, along with all the other physical products